if you would like. There's refreshments in the back, grab that, but we got to start in about a minute. In about a minute to a minute and a half. We're already running late. There's a speaker card. Is that the right speaker? Oh, okay. That was just a speaker. Thank you.
It's not supposed to be there, and I move it every time.
They're trying to make it.
It's Remember, John, we don't want it to be in front of the. Oh, we want it to be the side.
Hello, John. John? John?
John,
You ready? Are we recording? Okay. We're going to go ahead and start. Sorry for the delay. It's 6:07. We're going to go ahead and start our meeting. Thank you for being here, Northwest San Pedro Neighborhood Council. Today's the 10th, and we have some interesting information for you all today, so hang out with us, stay awake, and get yourself well fed. Okay, so let's go ahead and start. I'd like to welcome you. I'm going to call this meeting to order. And if we can, let's go ahead and take roll call.
okay, John Barbera.
Here.
Dick Christensen here. Larry Eaton.
Larry's excused.
I thought I saw him.
He was.
Okay. All right. Craig Goldfarb. Cynthia Gagne.
Here.
Gwen Henry.
Present.
Melanie Lebrecht.
Here.
Kelly Miller.
Here.
Thomas Norman.
Present.
Ray Regalado.
Here.
Michael Signorelli.
Here.
Angela Sumner is excused. Chris Valle.
Here.
Okay, that's 11.
Okay, we have quorum. Next thing in order, we're going to have our selection for the vacant seats that we have available on the neighborhood council. So I'm asking Lori Jacobs if she would help, being that she's part of our election committee, ad hoc committee. So go ahead, Lori, and I hope you're feeling better. We'll try to make it as painless as possible.
And I'll try not to cough.
Hang on, Lori, hang on. Yes.
Can we do the pledge?
Oh, I'm sorry. Here am I going. Let's go ahead and please face the flag, do the pledge. Cynthia, would you like to lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Lori, now.
Okay. Good evening, board. Excuse my hoarse voice. We have 3 vacant seats that we opened up applications over a month ago, and I'm happy to report that we've had applications for all 3 seats. The process is each candidate will come up, get about 2 minutes to speak, tell about why they'd like to be on the board, and then the board and the public can make comments or ask questions of the candidates. So the first seat is the business seat, and we've
Point
had
of order.
Yes.
As a sitting member of the elections committee, how come we weren't called to review these?
This is to for the vacant seats, remember, to get
Yes.
those. Yeah. So
And
we're going to go ahead
I'm on the
and
bylaws and elections committee. Vacant seats have always been part of that. All of us, we've reviewed other vacant seats. In fact, the missing month. that you're not doing that speaks something to bypassing what is supposed to be done, which is our regular fees. It's truly Trumpian.
Whoa.
Okay, well, thank you for that. Because we have these vacancies, because we need to fill them, because we have a very ad hoc committee so that we can get this thing done, we're going to have to, we kind of have
I
to.
asked you 3 months ago to
You're out of order.
Okay,
do this.
you
And
have not asked me
refused.
anything, Craig.
I did, and you
I'm not-
know better. I asked you. I said, "Why don't we have election meetings?" Says, "Oh, I don't have the time for it."
Okay,
And
Thank you for letting
now
us
you
know.
have the time for ad hoc committees with your friends.
Mr. Goldfarb, you're out of order.
so we're going to
Coming
go
from
ahead.
you?
We're going to go ahead and take care of our business like we should. Cynthia, you have a question or a comment?
I just have a quick comment. I'm also on the Election and Bylaws Committee, and we hadn't had any meetings. We had the opportunity to review these, and those meetings that were never called, our monthly meetings were.
We put in place an ad hoc committee because if I are you running for a seat? Craig, are you running for a seat?
Yes, but that has nothing to do with these.
So
This has nothing to do
Okay,
with electing
so-
people to fill empty spots till the next election, and you know that.
and we will take
And
care.
you're bypassing the whole committee procedure for your own benefit.
We've had this committee, this ad hoc committee going for the last few months.
But she
So
had, she had
Craig,
an
You
when you
have
were
an
absent,
opportunity
Craig, when
to
you were
use your actual
absent,
committee.
when you were absent from meetings, we agreed as a board to appoint an ad hoc committee to take on these 3 vacant seats. And then last board meeting, we again affirmed it again.
You
And
can't
so-
appoint an ad hoc committee when you have a standing committee. You can't.
we can.
You can't.
So anyway, we're going to go ahead.
And what other
And
bylaws
thank
will
you
you
for
break?
your comment.
What other bylaws are you planning to break?
I don't plan on breaking any bylaws.
Well, you did here.
So can we go ahead and go along with this? Thank you. Lori, would you please?
Yeah, by the way, I did review the bylaws today, and nowhere did it say that the election committee needed to fill the vacant seats. It just said you had to announce it, give time, and we announced it at the last meeting. Anyway, so the first seat that we have vacant is for the business seat. We have one applicant, and that is Kane Nicholas. Kane, you want to come up here?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kane Nicholas. I am excited to be here tonight to participate in our local community as a business owner. I've had the pleasure of living in San Pedro for about 7 years now, from Los Angeles. However, coming down here has been a great welcome. I've had the opportunity to participate in the Youth and Outreach Committee. I've had the opportunity to communicate with safety, as well as had a short visit in the land and use and planning. And all of this activity has been a great way for me to see what's going on in the community. Bridging the business of the community and having the opportunity to reach out to small business owners as well as large businesses and making sure that we're all on the same page. So as a resident, as a business owner here, and I brought my daughters here who are amazing on the technology, but ultimately just being a part of the business community. So looking forward to reaching out to community members and hearing their needs and representing them to the best to my ability.
Thank you, King. Would anyone have a comment or question? We'll go around the table first. Chris?
I'd like to endorse Kane Nicholas for the seat. He's been a valuable and productive member of Youth and Outreach for some time, and a real great addition to our team. I think he'd be a good addition to the board as well.
Thank you.
Melanie.
I just want to say Kane would be an absolute excellent addition to our board. He brings a lot of energy and a lot of knowledge, and also he's great at getting in there and helping and being active, and that's a good asset to have. We need that.
Thank you, Melanie.
Thomas?
Yes, I wanted to thank Kane for stepping up. I remember you started by volunteering at some events, then you started going to the committee meetings, and I think I encourage you to be in the position you're in now, applying to become part of the Stakeholder board. So I am very excited that you chose to offer some free time, and hope that the rest of the board is willing to accept the help that I think we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you, Thomas. Anyone else around the table? Any comments from the audience? No? Okay. So I'd like to go ahead and ask that we affirm Kane's position. He's the only person running for this particular seat. And if we could go ahead and go around the table and just take a vote.
Okay, this will just be a yes or no, since there's only one candidate.
Right, yes.
John Barbera,
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Craig Goldfarb,
I'm not participating in the vote. This is illegal.
Cynthia Gagne,
Abstain.
Gwen Henry,
Yes.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Yes.
Kelly Miller,
Yes.
Thomas Norman,
Aye.
Ray Regalado,
Yes.
Michael Signorelli,
Yes.
Chris Valle,
Yes.
Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
Okay, that's 10 ayes, 1 abstention, and 1 not participating.
Welcome, King.
Thank you very much.
Not so fast. You have a seat up here.
You get to sit up.
Yeah, you stay up here because we have.
And
More
just
to do.
correction to the roll call at the beginning, I forgot Alonzo Jenkins, and he is here, so there are 12.
I'm here.
Sorry about that.
And I did forget to mention it takes a majority of votes for when there's only one person, well, of any number of people. Okay, the next open seat we have is for the non-governmental seat, and we have one applicant for that, and that is April Jones.
Hey, I'm excited to be here. So I aim to learn, to connect, to engage, and to collaborate. I think collaboration is a huge part of any healthy social infrastructure and a really great way to involve the community and get things done. And so I moved here about 8-9 years ago. I am a board of directors with the San Pedro Skate Park Association, and we run and maintain the Channel Street Skate Park. We do youth programming there. We get kids on skateboards, give free lessons, do art programs, and collaborate with a bunch of other nonprofits around San Pedro. So it's been really great over the past few years getting to know the community and just like stoking these kids out. So that's why I'm here today, and yeah.
Good, thank you. Any comments or questions from around the table, Chris?
I'm very excited to have April potentially be on the board. She gets stuff done, and the things that she does are relevant to the community and generate a lot of excitement and interest. I think she's exactly the type of person the board needs.
Melanie?
I'm excited about April being on the board. She is going to bring a lot of talent with her graphics, as well as her talent with getting stuff done and being able to put projects together and all that in her organization. I love it, and I can't wait.
Alonzo?
Just off of your brief explanation, I see a lot of good in you, so I would like to see more of what you can do.
Thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
The skate park has been a really important part of Northwest San Pedro. the dedication and the commitment of everyone who built and continued to work very hard to make sure that it became reality. That took a lot of determination, and any and all of the people involved with that are committed to this community, and I want to thank April for participating in this.
Thank you.
Anyone else? John?
I met April when we were helping them do the skate park from the Issues Committee, and she's just fantastic making movies, and that's what she does. She can give us any kind of story, and she's going to make a great addition to this whole community.
Thank you.
I don't know her.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, no hands around the table. How about out in the audience? Anyone? Okay, Vic?
Okay, once again, this is a yes or no. John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Craig Goldfarb. Cynthia Gagne.
Abstain.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Melanie Albrecht.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
Okay, that is 10 again.
All right, great. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Have a seat. Take a seat.
Something else I forgot to mention is these are 5-month terms because this is filling a vacant seat that ends in June. In July, the election, people who were elected in this current election will be seated. However, in the Averill area, we did not have any candidates. This time, we actually have 2 candidates for the Averill seat. So whoever's selected will serve that for 5 months, and then we'll do the same thing and have a selection at that time. So the first candidate we have for the Averill area is Marcia Croft Maxwell.
Hi, I'm Marcia Croft with the new name as of December 14th of Maxwell, because I got married on the Queen Mary December 14th. I grew up in Seal Beach. I lived in San Pedro in the 80s, and I shipped out with ARCO as a merchant marine. I have a retail management background, a chefing background, and merchant marine, all three. So I just don't want to sit at home and watch the news anymore. It hasn't been a good experience for me. And I relish the thought of being a neighborhood representative, getting to know my neighbors and doing the best that I can to represent their needs and to champion any causes that I can. I understand that these neighborhood councils are a really good place to do that. So I'd love that opportunity. I have the time available, and I was on the visitors. I was a visitors chair for Petaluma up in Sonoma County, and then I was a union delegate on board the ship. So I do have some background on committees and being on boards. And I was living in Hawaii for 6 years. I just arrived back in California a year ago, and I'm ready to dig in. So there you have it. Please select me.
Any questions or comments from around the table? No hands. Oh, Melanie?
My mouth full. So, being on the board, what do you think would be your interest to get involved in as far as committees or your involvement?
I think I'm interested in the safety committee after looking at all the different ones, but I am open-minded. It looked like there was a number of them that I could participate in. I'm a little concerned about San Pedro being on a peninsula if there was an emergency. That's my own personal concern, and I'd love to discuss that with the neighborhood and figure out how we could best prepare. And also whatever other issues are being championed or are coming and need assistance with. I could also, I guess, be on anything to do with the refinery. You know, I have background with that, so I'm open. I just want to participate, not be a lump on a couch.
Awesome.
Gwen.
I'm excited that you're trying us out, trying this out. Of course, we don't deal with weighty federal issues or anything like that. We do try to assist and provide advisement on many different issues, going up to our federal representatives. What kind of role do you think the city council, this board does, and what is the thing that excites you most about your involvement?
What was that?
What excites you the most to start involving yourself in other than committees? What interested you the most? That's a tough one.
I guess I read through all of them. I mean, anything to do with youth, anything to do with helping the neighborhood. I don't know how to answer that more precisely. Maybe I'm missing the extent of your question.
Anyone else? Question? Comment? Anyone in the audience? Okay. Lori, would you like to introduce the next?
And our next candidate is Gail Andrews.
Hi, everybody. My name's Gail Andrews, and I have lived in the Averill Park area for the last 10 years. And as with Marcia, I lived in San Pedro in the 80s. What the magic of Averill Park is that we have an incredible neighborhood that has a jewel, and that's Averill Park itself. And it really anchors this community in such a way that I feel like that's such a central piece for me. And I feel like what I'm interested in doing is really offering more of a macro. I'm a clinical social worker, by the way, and I worked at Kaiser for 20 years. I did hospice, I did oncology care, and then I moved into just doing regular psychotherapy. So community is part of our mental health, and as I experience our community, the kind of energy that comes out of this kind of macro way of serving each other and making decisions. I know that this committee doesn't have like a final word decision making. Dean Penchif has been mentoring me for a couple years, encouraging me. He's on the Coastal Council, so he's informed me a lot about how it works and really the kind of influence that we can make on policy at the city level. And I'm very interested in that. So to me, this council offers kind of an anchor for community. It offers an anchor for the way in which we're going to serve one another. And that's really why I'm showing up tonight. And the first person I met when I got here was my running mate, or my running whatever the person I'm running against, Marcia, and she and I have, I hope we become friends. She's just a lovely person, and I wanted to say that. I think we share a lot of the same kind of values, that we want to get involved instead of waiting around and just seeing how things work out. So this is a place to step in and step up, and that's why I'm here. So any questions?
Yes. Okay, Melanie?
The same question I asked Margaret. Just what committees do you, or Marcia, the same questions that you
You know, I'm really interested in a variety of things. So I'm interested in youth because I think that's like such an important part of the energy of our community. I'm very, as with Marcia, I'm very interested in public safety. When I was a fifth grader, I was a hall monitor, and so I love to have things be safe and sound. That really matters to me. I'm interested in the homelessness problem, and that matters to me a lot too.
Anyone else around the table? Gwen.
Thank you too for being interested in participating in this. I should have asked Marcia this, but one thing that breaks my heart is that two individuals who have shown interest. It would be great to be able to vote both of you on, but it's only one seat. I do hope that you continue to participate in the committees of your choice, because that's where all of the really important stuff gets done. And being a committee member is a huge, huge benefit to us. And the amount of talent that we have on our committees is pretty amazing. And I would appreciate seeing you, both of you, and welcome you to our committees, and everyone in the audience as well. Please consider joining a committee, because this is a board where we talk about things at the final end, but what you're doing is all in the committees and how it's all built. So thank you once again for both of you.
Oh, you're welcome. I look forward to absolutely serving on a committee and getting more involved. This is kind of my retirement plan, you guys. So I retired from Kaiser a year ago, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go. Okay, thank you.
We have another.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
I just wanted to say, again, what Gwen mentioned kind of reminded me. It's rare that we have contested seats. It's one of our biggest regular missions is just to put the focus on the board and the work we do, and to get people hopefully interested in doing what we do. So to have two people, essentially in contest for a single seat is not only rare just for that, but it's also to have either of you who we would otherwise just love to have on the board. It will be difficult to choose between both of you, but as Gwen said, you can always participate in the committees, and that's where you learn about what we do anyway. So just thank you both for throwing your hat in.
Chris. All right.
Anyone else? Thomas.
Yeah, I just wanted to quickly make the same play. I didn't know Chris was going to say that, but it is a shame that we can't elect both of you. But as I applauded Kane for getting involved in committees first, I hope whoever doesn't prevail in this selection process does join the Public Safety Committee, maybe the Environmental Committee, or, look at what they are, because that's where we write the work that we do. There's so much way to get involved, and past history shows if you're involved in a committee, the chance that you'll eventually be a stakeholder is pretty high. So I wanted to offer that encouragement, and thanks to both of you for running.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a public comment card, and it is from Darlene Zavolny.
I just want to say that Gail is a friend of mine, and I know if you choose her, she'll be enthusiastic, hardworking, focused, and a real team builder. But you have two great choices here. And whoever does not get seated, I ran 3 times until they finally chose me. And they were stuck with me for 5 years, so hang in there.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the audience? Okay, let's have a vote.
Okay, this time you have to tell me a name, not just yes or no. John Barbera.
Gail.
Vic Christensen, Gail. Craig Goldfarb. Cynthia Gagne,
Abstain.
Gwen Henry,
Marcia.
Melanie LeBrecq,
Marcia.
Kelly Miller,
Gail.
Thomas Norman,
Gail?
Ray Regalado,
Marcia?
Michael Signorelli,
Gail.
Chris Valle,
Gail.
Alonzo Jenkins,
Marcia.
Okay, we have 4 for Marcia, 6 for Gail, 1 abstention, 1 not voting. So Gail wins.
Yeah, thank you. You want to swim in?
Oh, so I just.
Can I say something real quick? Marcia, and I would love to invite you to the public safety meeting. You would be a great asset, whether you're on the board or not, to have you come. We meet the 4th Thursday here at Peck Park at 5:30. All righty, thank you.
We received these candidates from our hard copy newsletter. Thank you for letting me be of service.
So if the newly selected individuals would please stand and get sworn in by our Vice President. Yeah.
All right, please repeat after me. I pledge to represent my neighborhood with dignity, integrity, and pride.
Dignity.
Integrity.
And pride.
That's a big one. I will encourage other points of view, even when they differ from my own. I will respect, value, and consider everyone's opinion. I will find the good in my neighborhood and praise it and promote it. And promote it. To my neighbors and to neighborhoods throughout the city of Los Angeles, I pledge to do this to the best of my ability. Close enough. Let's get to work.
Mr. President, could I just mention one thing?
Sure.
For everyone who's here, remember that the elections for the 2 and 4 year seats is coming, and you can still apply for voting. That is available on the website, NWSPNC.org. Go to the newspaper, and you will see all of the information there.
There's applications back there, right?
And
we have applications there too.
And we also have applications. So please, definitely participate, share with your neighbors, and we would love to have your participation.
Yeah, because Empower LA has it where we're only voting by mail this year, and that's the only way you can vote for our elections.
So the application is back there. Sign in, send it in, so you can get your ballots.
There, on the city clerk's website, there is supposed to be a portal where you can request they will send you a ballot. When I tried it over the weekend, it wasn't working. I think it should be back up, but that would be, then they send, your ballot would come in the mail, you fill it out, and then return it by mail. This would be an extra step for you to take a paper application, complete it, send it in, then they send you a ballot, which you then have to send in. So I would try the city clerk's elections portal first, but maybe take a paper copy as backup.
I just got mine today, so I was able to fill it out, so it's working again.
Okay. Thank you. All right. We're going to go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3, and that is general public comment on non-agenda items. I do have some speaker cards filled out, and I'm going to kind of go how they were kind of placed here on the desk or on the table here. So, Gwen, as a stakeholder?
So I actually have two cards, but the first one is I know that everyone, the fires, you were probably directly impacted. Even here in San Pedro, our air was significantly impacted. But the entire city, as a consequence, the animal services is completely packed. Of course, Palisades. There were a lot of pets that came into the system, and our own San Pedro Animal Services really needs help with fostering and adoption. Kittens, puppies, you name it. And if you can take a dog or a cat and put them in your home, that helps them to just continue to be, there's a little bit of stress that goes on in being inside the kennels, and it's never very healthy for them. They're much more adoptable if they come from a home. So if you could consider that, that would be great. They also would love to have volunteers. Also look for the supplies that they need. And if you can help donate that, they have a link, and it will directly benefit our shelter. So, thank you.
You want to do your second?
Sure. It was, So here at Peck Park, we have, based on some, there was a fire here, and our community, there was some activity in our park, and our community realized that we should really activate the park. It will help to make it more secure, as well as beautify it. So Friends of Peck Park Canyon has been organized, and there have been regular plantings, and we're trying to renaturalize the park, try to remove a lot of the very flammable grasses that are not native to the region. And there is going to be an event, a planting event. It is for students. It is service hours. And we would love to see you. It's been rescheduled. There was like 3 days of incredible rain coming. So it's been rescheduled for March 1st. And that's from 9 to 12. And the intersection to go to would be Elberon to Walker. It's kind of a curve area there, and there's a hillside there that we kind of focus on. And just bring your gloves if you have them. It's not necessary. We'll have gloves for you. Long sleeves, some good shoes, and have a good time. It's a great place to meet your community, and there's a lot of people here. Diana is very much central to this. Anyway, look for the advertisements. You'll see them in emails and probably on the internet's social media. Okay.
Thank you. Next up is Ellen Franz.
Thank you, Ray. I'd like to first congratulate the 3 newly elected council members and point out to the rest of the board, she didn't say so, but you've also added to the board a talented folk musician, Gail. She didn't bring any instruments, but I would like to underscore again Gwen's remarks about the Volunteer Day, March 1st. Just over that way, about 200 yards, but you have to drive around to Walker and Elberon to get at the site. And Diana and Kimmy, Corey Hepperly have for 2 years been organizing volunteer events. And if we can get some work done before all the weeds grow back, the native plants we've put in will do well. We do also have here in Peck Park, starting just behind this building at the back of the parking lot, monthly walks. The third Wednesday, there's an exercise walk at 9 o'clock on the third Wednesday, And the fourth Saturday, there's a nature walk that starts from the same spot at the back of the parking lot behind this building. For those that enjoy nature walks and a chance to see some different scenery, I put on the table back here some copies of this schedule of monthly nature walks offered by the Palos Verdes Peninsula Land Conservancy. They are the second Saturday of every month, so you just missed the February walk, which was last Saturday. But they're scheduled on here with directions to how to get to the sites. There are various places in San Pedro and around the peninsula. You can get to any of them in 20 minutes or less, and a chance to get some fresh air and enjoy the outdoors. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Rachel Brunke.
I'm nervous in front of a mic. I need my whole entourage. Can we have a big round of applause for young people being here? I just we want to invite everybody to our school next Wednesday. We're Port Los Angeles High School, and we're showing an inconvenient. Here, I'll hold it. We're showing An Inconvenient Truth. It's an old film, but timeless. Dar and John Zavalny helped very much with Al Gore's film, but it's a fundraiser for the animals affected by the wildfires, the climate fires, and so we're going to show it at our school next week, and it's a fundraiser. Please come. There's going to be food raffle. We're also inviting local political people, so Tim McCosker's office, and there's some climate workers at the county level and in neighborhood council, because what we want, we're actually going to cut the movie down a little bit, because what we want is after the movie, when these kids and the whole audience is kind of wowed, is we want to have a discussion between youth and decision makers, adults, to say, let's move on this. What can we say? And we don't just want it to be adults talking to kids. We're going to have some kids as protagonists, saying, we really need to work urgently. This is our future. So we invite you all, and I'll pass this around. I'd love you to take a picture of the flyer. Thank you. And the sign says, "Where's my weather?" Oh, yeah, I need to take a photo. I don't get it.
Thank you.
Thank you for saving trees.
Tom Norman?
Thank you. Tom Norman speaking as a stakeholder. I bring a message from a former youth member, Abigail Norman. She's conducting research on third places, so the people who are just up here, hopefully they'll be listening. She's hoping that young people will scan this QR code and complete a survey on the need for third spaces. What are third spaces? They're things like skate parks, right? So I'm so glad we elected somebody. She'll be thrilled to know you're on this group. Could be cafes, parks, libraries. A third space is a place that's not your school, not your home. There's a concern, she's got a research concern, that they're maybe not as available as they seem to have been in these 80s movies. We made references to the 80s, right? People who were here in the 80s. So how can you participate? If you're a teacher that has access, it's all been IRB approved by CAMS High School. I could give you a flyer. If you're a student here, I'll pass it around. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. And the last speaker card we have is from Diana Nate.
Thank you. Diana Nave. I just wanted to take a minute to introduce Sam Rampey. Sam, you will be voting on as a part of the consent calendar to join our Planning and Land Use Committee. He's an architect. He's been here in San Pedro with his family for about the last 3 years. Sam, you just want to stand up so people can say hello? He contacted us as a result of seeing the information in the Advocate about our committee, and we're just thrilled to have him join us. So I hope it'll be approved. Thank you.
Okay, that ends our public comment period on non-agenda items. Thank you very much. Let me see. I'm going to take this one a little bit out of order because of Lori being here, and that she's a bit under the weather, so she can give her report on homelessness, and then we'll get to our presentation, which is next.
Thank you, Ray. I appreciate that. Try to get through this while I still have a voice left. As usual, I have information on resources, how to report situations regarding people in need. The CD15 working group had their steering committee meeting last week, and I'd like to thank Thomas Norman and Richard Watson from the Coastal Neighborhood Council who showed up for the steering committee meeting. The next meeting is actually going to be in person on March 4th. If you want to get into the email distribution, the information's in my report. Just email the cd15wg@gmail.com. The main focus at the next meeting is going to be about the spending of Measure A money, which is Measure H, now Measure A, going into effect on April 1st. One of the biggest concerns is that they have left out the coordinated entry system funding. I'm trying to understand what that means for us, because that's a lot of the collaboration and coordination and how they're going to replace that. So if you're interested, come to the meeting. Homeless count is next week. As you know, it got moved because of the wildfires. The last time I checked, we still needed over about 40 volunteers, both in San Pedro and in Wilmington. No experience needed, just a desire to want to help. Please consider participating. Online training is provided. You don't interact with anybody experiencing homelessness. You'll be in the safety of your car, and they'll give you information on how you can count people. Appreciated. I have some information here on resources as far as people affected by the LA wildfires, both county and city resources, so I'll let you read through that. One section I wanted to bring to your attention is I often get asked, how can neighborhood councils even do anything about homelessness? So I created a section, what can neighborhood councils do to help with homelessness and related issues? I picked like 5 topics, and I bring this to you because I ask your committees if it fits to consider doing these, and I'm going to be presenting this to other neighborhood councils. One of them is to collect needed items. At any event that your neighborhood council is holding, consider collecting new socks, warm coats, hygiene items, canned food. Work with your local service providers to see what they need. You can always follow up with me, and I can connect you, or the working group will tell you what service group, what they're particularly looking at that time. Assemble hygiene kits. Don't just buy stuff. Assemble them. Let's buy the items that are needed. Let's get together as a group. Let's assemble the kit so you feel like you have a part in it. I've seen this work, and people feel much more engaged. Legislative updates. So you can get updates on LA City Council motions. You can subscribe to particular committees, so housing and homelessness and various, so that you can keep up to date on those. Stay informed by attending the quarterly CD15 working group meetings to stay well informed, to have your voice heard discussing local actions. And probably one of the most important ones is building relationships. As we know, get to know your local service providers, outreach teams, mental health teams, law enforcement, like our senior lead back here, and other organizations focused on homelessness. Working together, we can make a difference. I wanted to point out, thanks to Michael, keeping me informed, the last meeting, Councilmember McCosker talked about how the Rangers are back. And the Rangers are back, and they're helping. So while they're based over at Ken Malloy, with Michael's assistant, they've been able to get some of the encampment people that are behind this building cleared out I spoke to one of the rangers, very nice gentleman. In fact, I'd love to invite him to come speak at one of our meetings so we can talk about the work he's doing. He said they were able to talk with them, get them to move out, told them what resources were available. So having the rangers in effect are really making a difference. And he let them know, too, if they tried to live in their car in the park, that they can't park past 10:30. They'll be cited the first or second time, but after that, their car will be towed. They try not just to tow them immediately. They try to give them some notice, be compassionate, and work with them. So they've also been checking out the pool building because somehow somebody broke into one of those buildings too. Michael later can fill you in on any of this. He probably knows more about what's happening here. We're very fortunate to have somebody like Michael at our park. He knows every inch of this park. And I can tell you there's other park directors that don't walk their property like he does. So thank you, Michael, for what you do. I have some information on a couple of LA Council city motions from our council member, McCosker. And one of them is specific to the Lomita McCoy encampment, which has consistently been populated, cleaned out, repopulated, cleaned out for as long as I've been working in homeless services, 9 or 10 years. It's getting old. So what he did was his motion basically says that they move that the City of Engineers be instructed to report with recommendations to temporarily close the street area, and he's designated the areas. And I reached out to him to ask me what his plan is and how do the neighbors feel about them closing a street. It's more like an alley, but they call it a street. And he said the neighborhood businesses actually supported doing this. They did have a cleanup. I'm sure Drew's here somewhere. Well, she was. Okay, back there. She'll probably have an update on this, that they were able to get everybody out of there last week. They actually got 38 people off the streets. I'm not going to say housed. 30 of them from the city side, and what's amazing is 80 from the county side, because jurisdiction's often a problem with dealing with homelessness. In this case, the city and the county were working together to not just say, okay, go across the street, and now you're not my problem anymore. And that's happened a lot in the past. There were 4 people that gave a hard no, I'm not going to leave kind of thing. So you're always going to run across that, and they'll just keep calling on them. So anyway, that's always good news. I'd like to get follow-up reports that, like, if they were placed in motels, what was the path? Where are they going from there? That's always the question. I listed a couple of other city council files to consider on here. And I've asked our council member's office if they could give us updates when they're putting motions through that affect CD 15. It's a lot of work to keep trying to read all those agendas. It's quite challenging. And so Drew did. I just been sick, so I haven't been able to look them all up. And they will now start to send them to us. So if we want to weigh in on them, we have the opportunity to do that. And I have some more information about the county continuing to incentivize and expedite hiring for LA County alternative crisis response teams, mental health workers. They're still hurting. Even if we get the vans, we don't have enough people to man them. So anyway, I don't feel like talking anymore, so I'm not going to go into any more detail.
Thank you, Lori. We appreciate you being here. So hope you can get well soon. Let's go around the table, see if there's any questions or comments. I saw Tom's hand up first, and then Gwen, you're next.
Thank you for all your work.
Ray, my hand was up.
Thank you for your work. The question is, for those of us that signed up for the homeless count that had to be canceled and did the training, I've yet to receive an email. Do I sign up again to do that date, or are they assuming that I'm coming? And hopefully I don't have to take the training again?
Okay, that's such a good question. And I called LASA. And yes, you're still, because I also didn't receive a follow-up. They're just making this assumption. The training's no different. They don't register that you took the training. It's not like you can't do the count if you didn't. It's just so that you know what you're doing. And their communications process is not good.
Thank you.
Gwen.
Since
You're
Craig
next,
has a
Gwen.
question.
Gwen, you're next, and then Craig.
Well, I need to reset because
I'm sorry?
I need to reset based on the information.
Okay, Craig, go ahead.
I want to point out to everybody that every time they do a clean out of an area, most of what I see is people being moved. I was wondering, and this informed me why we're seeing so many more homeless down on Channel and Gaffey and up on and all up around Gaffey. And now I know why, because they cleaned out an area and it just pushes them around. You know, we've spent billions of dollars and we've seen so little movement on this issue. We've just issued more money. Lori was just speaking about it. And it's up to us, it's incumbent on all of us here to do something more and to push something more. Because the money seems to be disappearing, but not the housing showing up. These people are on the street. It's cold out. It's going to be raining. And what has been done? Look at it. You can hear a lot of people giving out all sorts of signals about, oh, we're doing stuff or moving stuff. But if you look at the actual numbers, and you see nothing's moving. Very little housing had been done. And you can see it on the streets. And these people are in pain. Thank you.
People are still becoming homeless at a faster rate than we can house them. There's no question that that's continuing to happen. The cleanup from Lamita McCoy, my understanding is most of them were moved into local motels, trying to get on the path of some type of housing. Craig is correct. There is not enough of new housing available. I personally believe there's a lot of vacancies out there rather than the need to build new housing. I believe the mayor's office and the county office are making a lot of efforts, but because of the economy and a lot of things going on, these are not necessarily the same people experiencing homelessness. We can get 30 people off the street, and the next week a new 40 people, a new group of 40 are becoming homeless. Yes, it's going to continue to get worse. Under the political climate, it will continue to get worse, and we just need to keep one person at a time, one family at a time, be compassionate.
Go ahead.
With that, you don't have to respond, Lori, but based on, I'm pleased that the county and the city work together for this particular location because of the two borders that are so close to each other. I'm encouraged with that. And this one's really, really, really difficult. It's always heartbreaking to go by it. It is outside of our Northwest area, but it is our community. This is ours. What I was hoping is that, we do hear about all of, we see the most visible, the ones that are most resistant to housing. I've recently seen some stories where some people have been moved onto the path of success. And I would really, really, really hope that within the process of this, that we see more of the success stories and those be generated, because it isn't just for us, but it would be really great. I know that some homeless people and some people who are on their way to homelessness that are what's the term, homeless, like home threatened? What's the term? But insecure, yes, home insecure. That they would see the success stories and see some of the stories so that they know that there is something that they can reach out to. And I would really like to see that. Thank you.
Quite honestly, just people hearing about it. A lot of the people experiencing homeless on the streets network with each other. That, in fact, is what encourages some people to say, oh, this guy got help, because there's a lot of trust issues. They don't trust the government. They've been burnt before. They've had their papers taken away, their stuff taken away. And then also some of them are, not all there. They're got psychotic issues. So depending whether they're on their meds, they don't trust people. So us just telling them this works, that's great, but they need to actually hear it from other people out on the streets. That's what makes a difference. Now, I did bring somebody with lived experience a few months back, and you guys all appreciated that. I wasn't planning on doing that every month, mainly because I love hearing the success stories too, but for every one of those success stories, there's 25 non-successful stories. And we need to get the real story out there, even like what Craig was saying, is there's a lot of things still not working. But I appreciate your comments. Thank you.
I saw Alondo's hand up.
I think what you're doing is a really good thing. I think we all here attending this meeting can agree with that. But is there an age gap for it, or
is there a what?
To volunteer, is there like an
for the
age
homeless
gap?
count?
Yes.
You have to be 18.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Yeah, I tried, but that's a regulation they can't. Yeah.
Thank you.
So don't forget to ask next year.
Yeah.
Give me a few months.
Anyone else? Comments, questions on the table? No. From the audience, any questions, comments? No. Thank you, Lori. Appreciate it. Feel better.
Quick question, Rachel. Are any of your students that came tonight looking to be signed off on government hours? No? Okay. Just double checking. Thank you.
Okay, Philip 66. I'm sorry, but we had another request to be pushed up in the agenda, so my apologies. You were going to be next. Blame it on this woman right here.
I'm so sorry. I have an 8 p.m. appointment in Highland Park, so I'm going to rush through this. Hi,
This
my
is
name
Drew from CD50.
My name is Drew. I'm the San Pedro Field Deputy for Councilmember Tim McOsker. Wasn't here last month. I was in a car crash, so it was sad for me to miss it, but I am on the mend, so it's nice to be back.
Welcome back.
Thank you. All right, here's a quick legislative update. On Friday, Councilmember introduced a motion in Council to explore implementing a citizen idling complaint program in Los Angeles, modeled after New York City's successful initiative. The State of the Air 2024 report ranked Los Angeles as the 6th most polluted metropolitan area in the U.S. due to annual particle pollution, much of which comes from idling gasoline and diesel vehicles. This pollution disproportionately impacts low-income communities and communities of color, with Wilmington, next to the Port of LA, experiencing particularly high concentrations. New York's program allows residents to report idling commercial vehicles and receive a portion of the fines, reducing pollution while engaging the public in enforcement efforts. A similar approach in LA could help mitigate air pollution, improve health outcomes, and empower residents to play an active role in cleaner air initiatives. This motion looks to assess the feasibility of a program such as this, either citywide or in targeted areas. Also on Friday, we had the honor of welcoming Morehouse College students and alumni to council chambers as part of our recognition of Black History Month, to uplift the contributions and legacy of Black leaders, educators, and institutions that have shaped our city and our country. Morehouse College, as the only historically Black college dedicated exclusively to educating men, has been at the forefront of this legacy for over 150 years. During this presentation, we also highlighted the upcoming initiative, Morehouse Takes LA, which embodies the college's enduring commitment to empowering young adult men to uplift communities across the country. In April, the initiative will focus on Watts and the Crenshaw communities, bringing Morehouse students to Los Angeles to engage in meaningful service and leadership activity. Council members' personal connection to this effort began last year when he visited Morehouse at the invitation of Marvion, a former intern in our office. Los Angeles has long been a hub for Morehouse men, with alumni making an impact in business, law, entertainment, and public service. These impressive alums underscored the deep connection between Morehouse and our city. It was particularly special to celebrate this institution alongside Council President Marquise Harris Dawson, a proud Morehouse alum. As we look forward to April, this initiative is more than just a visit. It's about strengthening communities, preserving legacies, and investing in the next generation of Black leaders. We are proud to support these young men in their journey to make a lasting impact in Los Angeles, and we are grateful for the continued collaboration between Morehouse College, local leaders, the 1-5, and the City of LA. I know you're going to have a presentation from Phillips Refinery, so I'm going to give a brief comment about that. This closure is indeed bittersweet. We recognize decades of residents employed at this facility while also recognizing the environmental impact this type of work has had on our communities. The focus now is to support impacted workers, clean up the site, and explore redevelopment options that promote economic growth and align with environmental goals. Collaboration between business, labor, and community will be essential. To our knowledge, Phillips is keeping all of their workers on for at least 1 year, and they will also be offering internal job placement services. We will support and connect them with city resources as needed. As you know, some rains are coming. If you see any clogged storm drains, please report them to me so that we can get them cleaned out. Please send your locations as well as a photo if you have one to Drew, D-R-E-W, .leach, L-E-A-C-H, at lacity.org. Next to last, the application process for the Port of Los Angeles Community Investment Program is now open for nonprofit organizations seeking fiscal year funding for 2025, 2026, or sponsorships for community-related events, programs, and projects. Interested 501c3 organizations can apply either for a large grant of more than $100,000 or a general grant of under $100,000. All community grants are endowed through the City of LA Harbor Department Revenue Fund. As such, grant proposals must be compliant with the Tidelands Public Trust. To be eligible for funding, proposed initiatives must relate to the navigation of waters, maritime commerce, fishing, marine environment, ecological preservation, marine-related scientific study, water-related recreation, or visitor-serving waterfront activities. An applicant informational workshop will be held virtually via Zoom at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, February 19th. You can find information about that on the Port of Los Angeles' website. Applications are due by 4 p.m. on Monday, March 24th. And finally, San Pedro Chamber of Commerce Business Exposition is this coming Wednesday, February 12th from 4:30 to 7 at the Crown Plaza LA Harbor Hotel Ballroom. Come learn about all of the great chamber member businesses here in San Pedro. The end.
All right. Thank you for all that great information. Okay, any questions or comments from around the table? Let's start with Craig, and then we'll move around the table.
In our packet, we have a motion about the motion 24-0910, which is about municipal code section 41.19, about moving up. I don't know how to put it. It's by Blumenthal and Yaroslavsky. Does the councilman have a position on this?
I don't know. I'll have to find out. Which council number? Which one is that? It's in the packet. Is it in your agenda packet?
Yes.
Okay, then I'll look it up and I'll find out. Report for the next.
And you'll get back to me? Mm-hmm. Thank you.
After Craig, I saw Melanie's hand, and who else had their hand up? Gwen and.
So, Drew, I've been getting a lot of stakeholders emailing me and calling me and Facebook messaging me saying, when is that Target mess going to be cleaned up, that water problem over there? It keeps getting worse and worse, and it gets really full. It rains, and it's really bad, and they repair the holes, and the holes are back again. And when are they going to fix it? Why are they just repairing the holes? Why aren't they fixing it? And so I have to ask you, are they planning on doing anything about that to fix it? I know it's a big project, but they can't just leave it the way it is and just...
I understand.
It's a health risk.
Yep.
It's a safety risk. All of the above.
Mm-hmm. Refer them to me. Send them to me, and we'll help them out. I know that BOE did come out and do an investigation. It is groundwater, and so it is a matter of budget, but we're also trying to figure out in the next fiscal year, can we maybe implement one of these the whole area is going to have to be dug up, and groundwater is going to have to be identified at its source and then rerouted into something else. So it's something that has not yet been planned, but we know what needs to be done. So I don't have an answer for when it's going to happen.
The two part of this is also, one of my neighbors mentioned to me, they said, well, I heard it was a problem with the construction of Target
No.
that caused it.
That's not the information that we have.
That they didn't put something in there, like some sort of pump thing when they built it, and so that's why it's
Well,
the
also
way.
some of the issues are the tree roots are clogging the drains. And so the tree roots need to be drilled out, and Target needs to do that, and we've let them know that. But I'll make sure to follow up. Fortunately, there's not a quick fix, but
Because if they're somewhat responsible, then they should share the cost in it.
that's what we're also pursuing, so
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Okay.
But please refer people to our office.
What?
You can please refer people to our office.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gwen?
Well, I'm glad to see the citizen vehicle idling program motion coming up. Now, I have a question. If these are also things that the public can kind of get engaged with, do you know if the same reward system is still active for reporting graffiti that can be actionable?
I don't right now.
And illegal dumping, if that's something that can be rewarded, there's a public reward system for that.
Those currently don't exist right now in LA, but I can look into what it would take to implement them.
Okay, thank you.
Gail?
Just very quick, your email again, please.
My email address?
Use the mic, please.
Drew,
Gwen, share the mic with her.
Drew, DREW, dot Leach, LEACH, at lacity.org.
Thank you, Drew.
So glad you're okay.
Thank you.
Chris?
Oh, I was just, well, I guess my question was going to be, has the Bureau of Engineering determined sort of what the split is in terms of responsibility, like liability? Because again, we, in a discussion at Public Safety, it was brought up that, there was some question as to whether, I guess what I'm saying is, my assumption was that if the city, in its inspection, had stamped the construction of the Target as it was when it was approved, does that mean that then the city is sort of responsible for things that, like, does the city basically have to take it up regardless of whose property it is, or?
I don't know. I don't have the answer to that.
Thanks.
I'll look into it, though.
Okay, any other questions from around the table? Any comments or questions from the audience? I see no hands.
All right. Thank you so much.
Hope we can make it out there. Okay, we're going to move back up to agenda item number 4, which is the presentation from Phillips 66.
Good evening, everyone. My name is, there you go. Good evening, everyone. My name is Nancy Perez. I'm the Public Affairs Manager at the Phillips 66 Los Angeles Refinery. I first off want to say thank you for inviting us to be here today. We definitely want to obviously maintain an open line of communication and share any updates that we have around our operations and our redevelopment. We first started engaging with the community post the announcement in October at our community advisory panel meeting this last year, late in December. Again, this is the first of many conversations, but of course today we want to share more information again about our operations, the process of idling our sites, employee support, redevelopment, and at the end of the presentation we'll have about 5 minutes for additional questions and answers. I do want to thank you all for sharing some of those questions ahead of time so that we can best answer them as we go through our presentation. Here today we have a few additional team members. We have Henry Barzotti, which is our general manager. We've got Nick Weinberg-Len, which is our redevelopment project manager, and also Heather Crossner with Catellus and DECA. So first it'll be Henry Barzotti.
Good evening. How are you? Good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for having us We're looking forward for sharing all the information that we have, sharing the status of what we're doing and how we're doing it, and hopefully we can answer all the questions that you may have today. If not, you will have resources how to answer those questions. Just to tell you a little bit about myself, my name is Henry Barsotti. I'm the general manager for Los Angeles, Phillips 66 Los Angeles Refinery. I've been with the company 24 years. I've been in 5 different sites, 3 different countries. I'm from Venezuela. I started in Venezuela and moved around to Louisiana, England, Illinois, and now here in Los Angeles. I've been here for a year and a half, and I manage Wilmington, Carson, and our marine terminal as well. On this slide is just like a summary slide that you can see all the phases of the project from the day of announcement in October last year all the way through the future is each phase. I'm not going to go to each point here because I'm going to touch on each one of those in my upcoming slides. So for those of you that participate in our community meeting, I know Ray and Melanie have been there several times and participate. We announced the cease of operations of Phillips 66 Los Angeles Refinery in October last year. And we said into that announcement we were going to cease operations on the 4th quarter of 2025. That information have not changed. That target have not changed. We still plan to cease operations in 4th quarter of 2025. We have a commitment to run safely and reliable in environmental compliance like we always done all the way until that day. As I mentioned before, and I know there's a question out there how this decision was made and how we made the decision to cease operation in the refinery and close the refinery. There's different factors into this decision. The decision is mainly a business decision. If you think about the gasoline in the state is declining. The gasoline demand in the state is declining. The electrical vehicles in the States are going up, probably not as high as they expected, but it's still going up. If you think about these refineries are designed to run crude from California. The crude from California is declining every day. The availability of those crudes are not there anymore. And we have to make up with waterborne crude that we bring from other places different than California, which is more expensive for us. If you put all those factors on top of regulations, regulations are getting more restrictive, regulations are getting more expensive, all the projects that we need to install to be sure that we comply with those regulations. Once you put all that picture, the future and the profits of our business was not matching the whole company strategy. And that's how this decision was made. It's purely a business decision. Now, making the decision to shut the refinery down doesn't mean that we're walking out of California. We still have business in California. We still have the biggest renewable complex up north. We're still going to run our Los Angeles terminal. We still have our Torrance tank farm. And we're still going to keep running our marine terminal in the port of LA. We have a commitment to California to resupply all the products that we're making today in the refinery through those systems that we still have available. So our commitment with California stays. We still want to be part of California growth and California future for that. If we talk a little bit about what's going to happen and how it's going to happen, right? In October, we said we're going to cease operation. What is that? Well, that's not as easy as just one day we flip a switch, everything is down, and that's it, we move away. It's a very complex process. We have two sites. We have a site in Carson. We had a site in Wilmington. Each site have their own process units, and each unit have to be properly shut down and cleaned up. And what that means, we're going to shut the units down means that we're going to stop processing oil in each one of those units. As we stop processing oil in each one of those units, we're going to de-inventory. We're going to push all that oil out of the units and the pipelines in between the units. As we do that, we're also going to clean up those units in a way that they are safe. We want to secure all that installation, and that's part of this whole decontamination, decommissioning process. We do this activity today. Today, every time we have a turnaround in the units, which is required every 5, 6, 7 years, we go through that activity. We know how to do this. We know how to shut units down. We know how to clean units. We know how to secure the units. So that activity is not new to us. What is new to us is that we're going to do it for the whole site. And we're building plans. As since day one of the announcement, we set up dedicated teams to be sure that we build the plans of how to manage that activity and be sure that we keep it safe and we keep it in full environmental compliance, like we have done in the past, over and over and over. With that said, our main focus right now, or one of our main focus right now, is our people. To give you a little bit of context, in the refinery we have a little bit less than 600 Phillips 66 employees. We also have day in and day out around 300 contractors with us. Out of the 600 employees that we have, there's 400, a little bit less than 400, that are hourly gauge union employees. There's around 200 salary employees. And we have a commitment to help facilitate that transition. And that transition means different things, right? Different activities. We have a huge list of activities that we are conducting. We started with workshops, HR and benefits workshops. 2 weeks after announcement, we did the first workshop with HR professionals and benefit professionals to explain what that means for each one of us on site, to explain what are the steps. We announced that we're going to run for 12 months, so we have enough time to build those plans, enough time to work with each one of our employees to be sure that they can hear. We held the second session for HR and benefits 2 weeks ago. And we're keeping that information going and flowing. For the union employees, we sit down with the union leadership, the local in the refinery, and the USW 675 leadership in the whole. And we were able to enhance our existing collective bargaining agreement. What that means is that all these steps of how to transition union hourly employees is well spelled on the current collective bargaining agreement that we have. But we sit down with them to enhance that plan. And we were able to adjust severance package. We were able to include quarterly awards for retention. We were able to offer some other training tools and certification tools that they're going to have to be able to use for their transition. So we achieved this through a few weeks of exercise together to improve and enhance that package and what we offer to our hourly employees. Very successful exercise. We also have this quarterly retention bonus, and that quarterly retention bonus is for every single employee's salary and hourly that we're given to improve retention to help through the process. One very important activity that we're building, and very significant because we understand not everybody have the flexibility to transfer with the company. Not everybody is willing to transition that easy. We're building a job fair that we're planning to hold on-site, Carson and Wilmington, and we're engaging with different local industries, all the way up to include the other 4 refineries that we already contacted, and they're going to be part of that exercise, and some other industries. We're planning to search through the local Chamber of Commerce. We sit down in the San Pedro Chamber of Commerce, Wilmington Chamber of Commerce, Carson Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to engage with those companies. If they have a need for our talented group of people, they will have a way to have access to them in the third quarter. In an effort to do that, we also engage into the workforce development department. We have been in meetings. I personally have 2 meetings with Carson Workforce Development Department and LA City Development Department that serves this area. We are building different tools that our employees can use and they can have access through those departments. They're helping us to connect our workforce to government jobs as well and build that bridge in between our people, our knowledge, our skills, and how that can be applicable to government jobs and positions. They're helping us to different tools for resume, how you make your resume, how you do some mock interviews, how you update your LinkedIn, and all that, and we're building all that into our process to help and support the transition. One more thing that we're doing for our salary employees, we started a process that is called expression of interest. What that is just a survey that allows us to understand what our personnel is interested to do, whether they want to get the full severance at the end of the process, or they're interested to continue employment with Phillips 66 in other sites. So in the survey, we're going to have that question of what's their preferred path and what's the location that they prefer. And we're doing an exercise with all the HR departments through all of our business units to be sure that we identify those opportunities and we can relocate as many as we can on that process. That process is open and it will close to collect the information at the end of this month. One more important item that we're doing, and because we are on all this together, I mentioned we have 300 contractors on every single day at the refinery. We are working with those contracting companies to be sure that they also have all the information that they need to perform the transition. We're working with work scopes, resource loading, all the way from now until October or later, depends on that specific contractor, and be sure that they have a plan how they're going to manage their transition process. So we're partnering with them. I personally have 2 meetings with the whole group of managers from every single contractor in-house. So there's a lot of activities happening. One of my main focus is our people, and be sure that we do this right for our people. I'm going to pass on to Nick so he can talk a little bit more about regulatory oversight.
Thank you, Henry. Thanks for having us this evening. My name is Nick Weinberglin. I'm the manager for the redevelopment project. I actually started my career at Los Angeles Refinery as an engineering intern when I was at UCLA, so I'm happy to be back here and re-envisioning what the facility can be in the future. So I did want to talk a little bit about the oversight that is going to occur over the next year plus as we go through the decommissioning phase that Henry mentioned. I kind of grouped it into 3 major categories. We've got air, managed by the South Coast Air Quality Management District, California Air Resources Board, and then the U.S. EPA on the federal side. We've got water, so we're managed by the County Sanitation District in Carson, and then the LA City Bureau of Sanitation for Wilmington on this site. We're also managed by the California Regional Water Quality Control Board, and then I mentioned the EPA as well. And on the waste side, the Certified Unified Program Assistants on the CUPAs managed for the fire department, as well as DTSC, or the Department of Toxic Substances and Control. So all of this oversight that currently the refinery undergoes on a daily basis, that will continue through the decommissioning and idling process. And then I want to talk about remediation as well. So we're going to work with our regulatory agencies. Currently, we have quite a bit of extensive remediation, both on the groundwater side as well as the vapor side, that occurs on our site. And those will continue too as we go through that. And then we're going to take kind of a tiered approach. So we're going to have remediation for the long term. On the groundwater side, Phillips 66 will continue to own that remediation going forward. So the cleanup of the site will stay with Phillips 66. The cleanup of the site for a remediation and for a redevelopment purpose, that will be undergoing through the DTSC and the Regional Water Quality Control Board as we navigate that process. So kind of two tiers, if you imagine that site as well. So I did want to kind of highlight the remediation aspect, since that's an important piece, both of our short-term as well as our long-term vision for the site. And as I move forward, before I introduce Heather, I want to talk a little bit about Phillips 66's role in this, and then we'll talk about the DECA Catella's role as well. But there's no change to the current ownership on the Phillips 66 side, and we're going to maintain that ownership through the entitlement process. But as we move into the redevelopment phase, we are bringing on some additional resources to help us with the entitlement process, and for that I'll introduce Heather Crossner.
Hello, everyone. Thanks for having us. We really appreciate it, and we really appreciate your time. My name is Heather Crossner, and I'm with the Catella's DECA team, as Nick said. I'm very excited to be here with you tonight, very excited to work with you going forward on this project. We are still in the very early project planning phases, so I will be back soon to talk in more detail about that. But we want to really let you know that this is going to be a fully transparent process. We are going to keep you informed every step of the way. We will have a website. You'll have my contact information. And you'll be seeing me out in the community. And you can contact me or anyone on the team at any point. But we will be back and engaging with you fully on this. We also want to let you know that this is going to be a dialogue. So we want to get your input on what you want to see in the site, particularly along the Anaheim Street corridor. You know, is it retail? Is it restaurants? Is it coffee shops? Is it sports, recreation? We really want to get the community's input on what will be exciting, what you want to see there. We want to build a project that you can be really proud of. So I will be back soon to continue those conversations. And in the meantime, you'll see at the end my email address. Feel free to contact me in the interim. And again, just really looking forward to being here and working with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and again, I want to say thank you for having us here today, and just reassure that we will have a continued presence here in the community. If you do have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. Just like Heather mentioned, if you see here on the screen, we do have our Phillips 66 community hotline, which is 24/7. You can call at any time, and it is in Spanish and in English as well as the redevelopment side. You can contact Heather as well.
Let me start off. The opportunity to have this slide presentation, is that something that you could leave with us and we can put it on our websites and make sure people have an opportunity to see it if they haven't had the opportunity today to see it? Okay. And the other thing too is the process in which the site will be decommissioned. How will the community know that the process is being followed, and if there are areas that have concern for the community, how will we be able to communicate that to Phillips 66 during this whole process?
If you have concern, that's the contact point. You know, Nancy is our public affairs person. Any concern from now until decommissioning or idling of the facility, feel free to call us, feel free to reach to us. We'll be responding immediately or coming here as you need it. The process that we follow to shut units down and decommission the unit is not different than what we normally do. And we go through those activities in some routine basis. Every year we shut any specific unit for maintenance purposes. And we follow the same process, and we follow all the rules and regulations for that. So hopefully you won't hear from us while we're doing that, because that means that we're doing it properly and doing it right. We do announce things like that sometimes to the local agencies, just to let them know what is about to happen. But hopefully no noise, no flaring, no issues, and we'll run smooth. And we have done it. We've been successful doing that.
So I have one additional question, then I'll open it up to the table. And the question is, understanding that this is going to be a long-term project, at least that's the perception many of us have, in the community, and having the ability to be able to communicate directly and get very early warnings, or maybe that's a strong word, but understandings and things like that. This is something that I asked at the group meeting. This is something that I've had conversations with our electeds, and the question is going to be, will you work with the community in a community advisory capacity to have an ongoing meetings with the community headed by our city council member, who I've had the conversation with, and appoint members of the community to be on that, so that we have that constant flow of conversation as we move forward through this process. Because I'm sure you've done this, but the problem with us is that we don't understand it. So we want to be able to make sure that there is a clear communication between community asking those questions in the way we do it, in the way that we understand it, so that information can get to us in a clear and understandable language, so that moving forward we're informed and we have the ability to give you feedback, and this whole process is transparent.
Absolutely. Yeah, no question. We want to work in partnership with you and with the community. So if that's a working group, if that's working with your plum committee, however you want to form it, we will be there, we will be engaged, we will be available. We really do want this to be a discussion and a conversation. We want to get your input. We want to share our ideas, because we do want to create a project that, people feel ownership of and are excited about and want to see happen. And we really want this to be, it's a great opportunity to be a showcase for the area. We think it's just a once in a lifetime opportunity. So we look forward to working with you on this. So I'm happy you have my contact information, and I'll give you my phone number, and we can work offline about how to form this group, and then we will be there, and we will also report back to your neighborhood council. However you would like to manage it, we are there.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, we're going to go around the table.
Let me ask a little bit.
Sure.
So, Councilmember McCusker is being engaged from day one actually before that with our business, but from this process and the shutdown of the refinery and the redevelopment, he's been from day one engaged with us. And as you know him, and we got to know him as well, he's very challenging, he's very into what he wants to see, and we've been day in, day out with him, satisfying that, and we're willing to do that. So I know he is building a committee. He told me that he's building this committee within the neighbors to drive this process. So we are aware of that, and we're going to be part of that. So it's not new. And something else to add, and both of you know, because I've seen you before, our CAP meetings are going to continue through this year. That's a great way to get there and get an update. I usually goes there. I usually give a lot of updates. We answer a lot of questions. So that's another way for you to get information if you need it.
Understanding that the CAP meetings will continue, but we do know that the process will go beyond the life of the CAP meetings.
That's right.
And that's the important part, to continue the conversation and interaction between your organization and our community.
And we'll have those tools.
Okay, great. I'll start with Melanie. Who else did I see? Okay, and then we'll go with
So I talked with Heather, and one of the things that we had before that just kind of fell off was a representative was coming every month to our public safety meetings from Phillips 66, and we'd like that to start again, starting this month. So we meet the fourth Thursday of every month, and it'd be great if somebody could just pop in and give an update every month at public safety, and that would be perfect to have that. The other question I have is, not to get very political here, but with the dissolvement that our president has done with the EPA, how is that going to affect the way that the EPA is going to oversee all of the hazardous stuff and all with, because there may not be an EPA. I'm just a big question mark in the air.
Without getting into the federal policy side of it, I could say the Cal EPA is also very, very invested in this and has a lot of regulatory oversight in there. So I know from Henry's side, we have not seen a lot of changes on the regulatory oversight or seen any changes so far in the administration.
Okay, thank you.
The rules that we have, we're going to follow, right? Whatever happens on the office and what name is going to be or who's going to run, that's not going to change the fact that we have the rules, we have the regulations, we need to follow the regulations, we need to follow the rules for everything that we are doing today and we're going to do in the future. So, we don't see any of that politics impacting the way we're going to do our business.
Alrighty, thank you.
Okay, I have Vic next.
This kind of doubles as a question and a suggestion for what goes into part of the redevelopment. You've got a big orange landmark on the site.
Yes.
And I think there's a lot of people who would be very interested, and I'm one of them, to know what's going to happen to Smiling Jack. Is there any way that it could be kept on site, especially since it's up on the hill, and even redevelop the area in a way that you could have the annual caramel corn giveaways and an event that you normally have every year?
That's a great question, one that we've already been talking about. So we've been thinking through it. It's a very, very large tank, so I don't know if we can keep it exactly there, but we've absolutely been thinking about what we can do. Would love to talk about it more in the working group and get the community's ideas. Would love to keep that tradition alive, absolutely. So that is on our list and would love to discuss it more. Thank you for bringing it up.
Will it fit in a Target parking lot?
Kane, you're up.
Good evening. My question is around the transitioning employees and the contract, the 300 contractors. Is it, with your experience decommissioning sites, what are some, as I'll call it, a successful transition rate for employees, and what does a successful transition look like for an employee?
Well, let me start saying that our experience decommissioning sites, that's not something that we want to do, right? We are in the energy business, so we want to keep running our facilities. So it's not something that we do every day, but we have done some of that. We have some experience in a couple of places. There's no metric for success on that. My own metric is that I want to relocate as many as I can my personnel, and that includes within the company or outside the company. Mm-hmm. So we're doing things within the company to try to transfer as many opportunities we can find in other business units. And we also doing the job fair to be sure that we can relocate people in any other industries here in town. So that's part of that. As many as we can, it will be successful to this process, to be sure that we move them over whether within or outside the company. We don't have a specific target to say 50% is a success, 80% is a success. As many as we can is the target.
So it sounds like best efforts.
Yeah, and we still have more things to do. We're going to continue.
And something I wanted to add to that as well is we also have a lot of employees that have expressed that they don't want to stay in the industry. They want to start a small business or, just other different paths, right? So keeping that in mind as well. We are going to be working with the Chamber of Commerce as well to do like starting your own small business 101 and so there's a lot of different opportunities for our people and the different career paths they want to take in the future.
And the vendors.
Yes.
Chris.
Hi, thanks for coming. This is kind of more of a broad strokes question about the future. Based on zoning, based on the historic use of that land, is there anything that is kind of off the table? Or is there some use that the public might, anticipate or request that you just simply can't do? I mean, I'm thinking in terms of sort of eliminating things that are just, let's say, not feasible or really just not within the scope of your plans.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The site is zoned industrial, and the community plan update that's happening right now continues that industrial designation. There's also, contamination that is being cleaned up with the Water Board and the Department of Toxic Substances Control. So, I think this may not be, in terms of zoning and in terms of that, right, for maybe necessarily like open space or things like that. But what we'd like to do is, really on that northern corridor of Anaheim, I think that we can get different uses approved, such as, retail, sports, things like that. So we have to work with the council office on that to make sure that we can get the zoning that's needed for that, because it is not zoned for that. But again, that's why we want the input from all of you as to what is really meaningful and special, so that we can then work with the planning department and the council office to get the zoning that would allow that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay.
Any other, Gwen? And then Thomas?
In regards to promoting the idea of the community advisory group, part of it is to ensure that this transition be a national model, a real star, not just for our community, but something that Phillips 66 and all the entities, DECO and everything, can hang their hat on and actually be proud of. And with that, there was a mention of the retention of a tank farm. I don't know if it's on that site, but it would be great. It doesn't have to be answered right now, but the idea of the advisory group would be also to help communicate things so that it isn't misunderstood. We will ask the questions that seem to not already be informed properly, and that would help to inform you on how to best communicate these things so that there are no weird stories and gossip.
We would absolutely love that. I think the thing that's most harmful for everyone is uncertainty or misinformation. And so we will be relying on you too to ask us the questions and then convey it to the people who in the community who are having these questions or don't have all the information. So it really is a two-way street. And we rely on you as much as you rely on us in a way. So we, absolutely, completely agree and really look forward to working with you and would love this to be a model for, a kind of partnership in redevelopment.
I mean, it's a challenging thing. This has been a refinery for...
Absolutely.
That was a long time, and we know that the first 40 years of that 150 years, there are different standards entirely. So
it's a huge change for everyone.
It's a tremendous change.
So
I'm hoping that the transparency and the idea that this is a helpful thing and something that everybody wants to collaborate on.
Completely agree. Thank you.
Thomas?
Your hand up first, Craig.
Would your hand up first?
I saw Craig's
Go
hand.
ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead. Thank you for a great presentation. Really appreciate this approach and the feedback you got. I wanted to offer two things if they're of use. So I teach management HR at Dominguez Hills after 18 years, and we organized a volunteer program with SoCal Rock where we provide mock interviews. My students get experience. They do 3-hour shifts every semester. Certainly for fall I could do it. We could even look at something in spring if that would be of help, as well as resumes. We talked about LinkedIn. So I'd just like to offer, some of the help we have at Dominguez Hills there, as well as the fact that we have a free incubator, in Carson, where we've been helping companies start businesses. So two of the things you mentioned, I think we could be of help. So I'm happy to share my card and would love to be in touch with your HR team if you think that might be of assistance in helping these people transition into our communities, into whatever their next is, which we all hope is even better than the careers they had with you.
That's very good and perfect, and I appreciate the two-way exchange of information and help and resources. Thank you.
Craig?
So how much of the fuel that you were supplying for gasoline? One question. Will any of that be replaced by other facilities of yours?
Yeah, so we have a detailed resupply plan that can help match the gasoline output currently being produced at Los Angeles from either other Phillips 66 refineries on the gasoline side or on the renewable diesel side from our Rodeo facility or other facilities as well.
I mean, it wasn't. How much you think it can be replaced, or you're looking at it?
Yeah, we're going to replace all the gasoline production.
Okay.
Yeah, well, our resupply plan is to be sure that we satisfy 100% of what we're doing today on transportation fuel, gasoline, diesel, jet. We're going to resupply. So we're going to have that plan built up to do that.
In what other? Where is that facility?
Our resupply plan comes from different facilities. Can be our own Phillips 66. We have done that. We have proved that we can do California specifications in other Phillips 66 facilities. But we're open to bring finished products from everywhere we can find it. We have a full organization to do that.
And that was part of the presentation where you said you're going to be bringing in more fuel, right? Because it's less economic to convert the California fuel.
On the opening of my presentation, one of the variables that we use to make the decision is the availability of California domestic crude. That it's declining and is not available as it used to be. So we have to make up that with waterborne crude. Yes.
I got you, Diana. A couple things that came up. Your shutdown project and what happens afterwards seems to be it's going to happen right as we see a major transportation corridor is going to be shutting down. It's going to be at the end of this year, but it looks like it's been pushed to the early stages of next year. Sorry. And that's the Vincent Thomas Bridge shutting down. How is that going to affect your shutdown plans? Because that's going to be a major situation for both Wilmington and San Pedro, specifically us here in this part of town. And then I'll have another one for you.
Most of the resources that we need to shut the refinery down is internal resources. There's a small amount of contractors probably that we're going to reach to do some chemical cleaning, probably some specific units, some removal of catalysts and products like that, but it's not going to be in any way, shape, or form significant for the critical timeline of shutting the refinery down. So we don't expect significant impact from that point of view of not having the bridge available or trucking or moving things around.
And the other question that popped into my mind as you were talking, how does the shutdown of your refinery impacts Rancho LPG right off of Gaffey. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's a different owner of the facility.
I understand that, but from what we were told early on when Rancho would be coming down here, I think they rely a lot on your refining process to fill their tanks. So if you're not there, what happens to them? And I think you got a lot of people with their fingers crossed.
So it's actually separate, so we don't participate a lot back and forth on business-wise with Rancho. I will say that Councilmember McCosker has made his feelings on Rancho known to the broader community on that end, but they are a separate business from us.
So I appreciate the answer, but how does your refining impact
volume?
Rancho LPG? I mean, if they're getting
our
product
shutdown
from
won't
you,
have an impact on Rancho.
There'll be no impact at all.
Not based on the volumes, no.
Okay.
Today there's no commercial relation.
Okay. I have Marcia's hand that was up. Then I saw Diana, and now I see Pat.
I have a couple questions. The tanks are those going to be used for already refined?
Could you come up to the mic, please?
So I wanted to know, because you did start this by saying it's a business decision, so money must be involved. So is most of the refinery going to go to Rodeo up north, Rodeo, or do you have a large refining capacity in the Gulf?
We do have other 10 sites.
But, Mike, please, or maybe someone can hand them an additional mic there.
Sorry. We do have other sites in the United States and one in Europe that we use and leverage all that capacity. We have done test run to make California specification products to see how we can get that California specification product here. So we're going to leverage some of that.
Okay.
You have a question about tanks.
Tanks.
The tanks, we have 160 plus tanks on site. Most of them will be decommissioned, the inventory, and clean up through this process. Some of them will remain available for our resupply plan.
Okay. It's my understanding it's a lot more costly to refine in California because of all the legislation. So it looks like some of it's going to go up north. I'm trying to ask, and I'm not sure if I'm asking it the right way. It seems like, from conjecture on my part, that you're trying to consolidate in California and refine elsewhere. Is that true?
As you know, in the United States, there's no increase on refining capacity. So it's not that we are going to make up all the barrels in some other refinery from Phillips 66. We're going to try to allocate the barrels in the right place.
Okay. And then I just wanted to make a comment about the HR piece, which is this is a huge corporation, and it's a line item, it's a budget. And you guys sound like you've got it really handled, and it's going to be very nice, but the reality, it's part of the budget of closing. I mean, you're just making it sound really nice.
We put in a lot of effort to be sure that we support our people.
Right.
And now
Okay.
all those activities that you see there, that's part of a long list of items that we're doing to be sure that we make this right for our people.
Thank
That's
you.
my priority as the
Okay.
general manager.
Thank you for taking my questions.
Diana?
I have two questions. And the first one is help in understanding the timeline. So when you talk about closure in October, if I understand right, does that mean that you will have ceased all of your operation and you'll have decommissioned your tanks by then? Or is that when you start the decommissioning? And then the next part is then there's the remediation, and how long do you think that will take? And then it sounds like you're doing, and my next question, gets in there, which is, are you planning in the long run, is Phillips planning to retain the property? You're talking about entitlements. Are you going to retain it and go out to bid, or are you planning to eventually sell it? And what's the timeline for that piece happening? So those are 3 timeline questions and long-term questions.
I'll answer the first one. I let Nick answer the second one. The first one, how we're going to phase out the operations and cease operations of the refinery. As I mentioned it, this is a long-term process. It's not easy, right? We have 26 different units in the refinery. We're going to start sometime in September, phasing out the operations of the refinery, and unit by unit we're going to go and take. There's some units that will be in parallel, some units that have to be staggered. That whole process from mid-September all the way to early December is what is going to take us to shut down and clean the units. And we're using October because October is when we're going to process the last barrel of crude into the refinery. And then in between, we're going to start that process to clean up. So it takes time. Once we clean all the units, then there's a whole process of decommissioning and how to manage the other facilities.
And so how long does... I'm just kind of getting the big picture, timeline here.
Once we get there, once we clean the units, we're going to idle. What idle means is we're going to keep everything secure, deep pressure, the inventory clean, and staged there. Some of the unit will require some inert gas purge just to preserve the condition of the metal within those pieces of equipment. But we're going to park there. We're not planning to do anything else with the site, just park in a secure position.
I'll note, too, on the next portion of the timeline, when we talk the redevelopment project, that's going to undergo a full EIR process through CEQA, right? So that is going to be a permitting process that involves input, and we look at many different factors as part of the technical reports, and that'll cover the redevelopment and the demolition of the refinery. Is considered as part of the process from a CEQA standpoint.
And when would you anticipate beginning that process?
Sometime this summer, we are hoping to get a project description and start that process. And if you know CEQA, that's not a quick process.
We know.
So
we know CEQA well.
So we'll go through that process. In terms of the remediation, the long-term remediation Phillips 66 is going to hold going forward. And we think that's a lengthy process that we'll have. And then kind of the other question that you asked was around kind of our intention with the property. So the intention is to permit a future project, entitle that, and then sell the property.
And then sell it. Okay, thank you.
Pat, you'll be the last person.
I'll be brief.
Please.
My daughter asked most of the questions I was going to ask. So, you talked about decommissioning and cleaning, but not removing. Do you have a rough idea of the percentage of the equipment that's just going to remain there? The pipes, the tanks, the valves, the refining equipment?
Everything stays in place.
It's a lot of it related to your use of the marine oil terminal, warehousing and things. Okay. Has your board of directors or your upper management given you a year or something that they want you to have all this stuff done?
We're building those timelines now, and we're pretty sure we can accomplish the full shutdown, decommissioning, and cleaning by second quarter, and that's extended process, right? The main process will happen between September and December, clean up the main units, and then by first quarter, the end of first quarter of next year, everything will be done.
I'm assuming that you had some input from probably consultants or somebody about potential uses for the facilities, reuse sorts of things. And you certainly will when you describe your project for CEQA, but do you have anything you can share with us now?
Sure, yeah. So as part of the redevelopment, the plan is for the refinery to go away altogether. So once a new project is approved, at that point, they'll, continuation of remediation and demolition and removal of all the refinery equipment and tanks and things like that. Again, it is an industrial site, so, a lot of it will be industrial, remaining that type of use in the interior. And the goal is, on Anaheim Street, on the buffer areas, on the areas where people can see, to have community serving uses, other types of uses that we were talking about, more commercial oriented uses in those areas.
Pat?
Last question is, you've probably done some testing, environmental testing and so forth. Do you have any testing that's been submitted to agencies, and do you have anything that's available for public review?
So we do a lot of testing currently with the Regional Water Quality Control Board, and there is public data available there, and then we're undergoing site characterization currently.
I want to thank you for being here and having, your patience for the kind of the agenda being a little bit different today. I can tell you, and you can probably tell, that we have a very engaged community. There've been a lot of questions, and I'm sure there'll be a lot more as we go along the process. That's why it's really important for that community advisory committee to be in place, so that we have an avenue to be able to ask these questions. So thank you very much for being here. Thank you for your patience.
We are very, very happy to be here. Thank you so much, and I'll follow up with you about that community advisory working group.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, public safety. Senior lead, Russell, thank you for your patience. And if I woke you up back there,
No, I was awake. I had to sit down. But hello, everybody. I don't think I've seen. It's been, I think, since November since I've been here. So
it's been a few years.
Yeah, but we been very busy. Obviously, December was the holidays, so our office was busy with the holiday events, and then obviously January the city had the wildfires that occurred. So basically, a lot of our resources were dedicated to that area. So there was a tactical alert, and then the non-emergency line was basically unavailable, if you will, just due to the fact that we needed manpower over there in the Palisade area. So all is back in order. They do have a plan now that basically allots for officers to be in that area and take care of that area while also maintaining the public safety in the communities around here. So that is the good news. And then just crime stats. So bear with me. The numbers and the font just get smaller and smaller. So in terms of the Northwest San Pedro, we had 8 aggravated assaults, 12 burglary, theft from motor vehicles, 13 burglaries, 15 GTAs, 4 robberies, 16 thefts, for a total of 68 crimes. And to break those numbers down a little bit more, the robberies, there was 4 total. 1 involved a firearm. For the aggravated assaults, there was 8 total. 3 were domestic related. For burglaries, 13 total. 11 were non-residential, 2 being residential. So most of those were like businesses, like storage facilities, etc. GTAs, of course, we had 15. And the burglary theft for motor vehicles, we had a total of 12, with 9 being unlocked or unsecured. So that's a common theme, obviously. So please lock and secure your stuff. I don't have much, obviously, because we just kind of got back from the Palisades recently. I've just been doing all my follow-ups and stuff and things I need to get checked up on. Positive story in regards to homeless. There was a guy at the library that I ran into. He was a veteran, and within 10 minutes, I have a resource that I call that works for the VA, and the gentleman got picked up, and he was in a shelter within an hour. So the VA definitely does a lot of good stuff. I think it's just due to financially, and geez, I apologize. The capacity that they're able to take in people and do things and move them around and do a lot of stuff. In my experience, I see that it's more beneficial for the veterans, obviously, than it is for other people, just due to just resources, I think. But it's a positive story. It's something. He just came in from North Carolina, and I was like, well, let me help you out. So that's a positive, at least. So I'll finish on that. Is there any questions? Yes.
Thomas?
Yeah.
I forget now if it was this Saturday or last Saturday at the Budget Representatives Group, District Attorney spoke to us, and one of the things he shared is that he's going to be much more aggressive in prosecuting retail theft and copper theft. So has that filtered down here to the area, or, in terms of any new focus or anything that might be useful for us to know in the San Pedro community?
So obviously the proposition, I think it was Prop 36, if I'm not mistaken, was passed. So the new DA, basically there's new criteria that is once a subject is arrested, they fall into what's it called? If they have priors, then they'll be held basically, and then the sentencing will occur. So the police, the LAPD, we're going to do our part on that end in terms of when there's a radio call or something generated or an officer observes a crime occurring. We're going to do our part, like we have been doing over the past few years, to arrest individuals, and then the district attorney's office will do what they got to do. So it's still fairly new. So we'll see some of the good stuff, but obviously with narcotics and the retail theft. So what we're doing as LAPD, we're also doing the retail theft task forces. So that includes going to stores like Home Depot, Target, and some of the other locations that are being continuously hit by these organized crime folks. So all that good jazz. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions from Ron to John?
Hey, Russ, the catalytic converter situation out here, I've heard it kind of died down a little bit.
Yeah. So actually in the crime stats, out of the, where is it? There was only one catalytic converter theft in the month of January.
Wow.
So that's pretty good. And it doesn't always show up either. So it has cut down a lot significantly. And I think that's also due to some of the policy changes and some of the laws that were kind of formed for some of those places that basically will buy the metals from these individuals, and then it gets tracked. So it has helped out immensely with decreasing that.
Melanie, and then Vic.
Question for you. So something I've noticed lately, and I observed the other day, is something that's happening is with your retail theft thing. I've seen it like 3-4 times in the last probably 2.5 weeks. Shopping carts wheel out, and they either come to corner of Berrywood and Capitol, and they have a van waiting there, and they just dump everything in the van, and you know that they have stolen that stuff at a Target and gone out with like 2 shopping carts of stuff. This has happened in the last probably 2 weeks, like 3 times. Then, yesterday, I'm coming home and from my mom's house, and I'm looking, and over in the corner right behind my house, there's a van with a lady pushing 2 shopping carts of stuff, and they're like looking around and shoving everything and real quick trying to throw it in the van and all kinds of stuff. And I'm like, oh God, here we go again. I'm like, they should set up some sort of like sting, like unmarked car or something over there, and they could catch all kinds of people hauling out of there with stuff. Because that's lots of theft. I mean, we're talking 2 full shopping carts of stuff, and the ones that were on Berry and Capitol are like 2 big full, and they're getting them, those carts that lock just over the curb, and here we go, and...
Yeah, so we do, like I said, we have the retail task force, which includes undercover cars and officers, and then marked black and white vehicles to go in and apprehend those individuals. So there is task forces that work there. But what I would recommend too, I know that you have Kevin's email. So what I would do is when you get that information, just send him an email, because he does a really good job of reporting it and working with our officers to get some people apprehended. So when you get the like a photograph or someone's license plate or something, that's a lead that they won't have the cameras in their parking lot to get those folks. But since you would have those, share that information with him, because I work with that business district on the other side, the World Port, I forgot what it's called, but I'm sorry, I'm a little tired right now. I've been here since 6, but it's the 1900 block of North Gaffey. So I work with them. They have cameras set up. I work with the property management there, some of the store owners or the business owners, and they have a little system. They give all the information to Kevin. He puts on the reports, and things happen.
Okay.
All right, Vic, and then Gwen.
Regarding the catalytic converters, do you know if there are any planned, and if not, can you suggest they do plan some etching events to etch the converters like they've had in the past?
Yeah, I don't mind doing that. We don't have any planned. I would always recommend, I think you could do those privately as well, but we'll see what we can do with that one. So.
Okay, last would be Gwen, and then we'll have to move it along.
So, the CPAB meeting is scheduled the same night, I believe, as the homeless count. I'm excited about the newsletter that you share. Is there any information you want to give the community regarding your newsletter? And oh God, what else was there? I forgot what it was. I'm tired too. All right.
Okay. Well, yeah, I do a newsletter for our neighborhood watches. So in Northwest San Pedro area, we have a few neighborhood watch, a block captain over here, and then what we're able to do is I send a monthly newsletter out with the same crime trends here and community events or other things that are going on that I feel are important. And I just found out that the homeless count is happening on the 20th. So I believe our CPAB is still occurring. But in terms of having an officer there for the homeless count, I don't know. So I'll get back on that one because it's important.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I remembered what it was, that third thing. So,
All right. Marcia, I know you have a question, but we got to move our agenda. We only have a short amount of time. Maybe you can take the question offline. But I understand a lot of officers from Harbor Station responded to the fires. Thanks a lot for that. Please thank all the officers.
No, it was a good time. Thank you guys. Thank you. Because it was taxing, but at the end of the day, it's to help people and the city's response, et cetera. We did the best we could with the planning and leadership that we had, and a lot of tempers were flared out there because they want to get back to the residents. So it was challenging at times. I'm not going to lie, but we all made it through, and I'm hoping that for a very good recovery for everybody that was involved and impacted. Because once you see it and you're actually there on the streets and you're looking at it, it is quite intense to just see an entire area just gone. It's intense. So, but thank you.
Thank you. All right. We're going to go along and get to our consent calendar. We have two items. Approve the January 13th minutes, and also to appoint Sam Rampy to Planning and Land Use and Port Committee. So can I get a motion?
So moved.
Gwen seconding. Any discussion?
The new people that have been appointed tonight, you can vote on everything except funding before you take you're authorized to do that. Funding you can do once you've done your funding training. Okay?
So with that, you want to take vote count? Vic?
The first on that was Chris?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Consent calendar. John Barbera.
Yes.
Vic Christensen, aye. Craig Goldfarb.
I'm sorry, what was the motion? I didn't hear it.
The consent calendar.
Okay. Aye.
Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Gwen?
Yes.
Alonzo Jenkins.
Yes.
April Jones.
I'm not sure what this is.
You can abstain if you want.
Okay.
Since all these items are just one.
You can just say abstain, April, if you aren't.
Abstain.
Melanie LeBrat.
Yes.
Kelly Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas.
Abstain.
Thomas Norman.
Aye.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
Gail Andrews.
Abstain.
Okay, that's 12 ayes, 3 abstentions.
Okay, moving on to the next agenda item, motions. We'll start off with budget and finance. Melanie?
Okay. The first item is the MER, which is on
Page 13.
Page 13. So this is not out of committee because we didn't have our MER in time for budget and finance meetings. So right now we have $21,986.23, of which we only spent mostly for the newsletter expenses and the administrative stuff like food and minute taker and audio. So this isn't out of committee, so I need a motion to move it.
So moved.
Second.
John, second. Any discussion? So call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
Kane?
Extension. No.
No.
Okay.
Budget.
He can't.
No,
Oh, he
budget.
can't on
Budget.
budget. That's right. Oops. Sorry. Alrighty. John Barbera.
Yes.
Victor.
Aye.
Ray.
Yes.
And Craig.
Yes.
I didn't hear you, Craig.
Yes.
Yes. Cynthia.
Yes.
And then no Abe. Melanie, yes. Glenn's ineligible. Kelly.
Yes.
And Chris.
Yes.
And Michael.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one is the budget. And that is on page 15. And the same, and you can see all the breakdown of the money. Right now we've got $5,610.53 in unallocated, but we will be moving over what's left from the newsletter. We did save on the newsletter this time $1,065.30. So we will move that over back into unallocated and use it for something else. So this is out of committee. So any discussion?
Is that entire amount eligible to roll over at the end of the year? How much can we roll over?
10,000. And
Okay, so-
usually it just depends on if there's any more events or anything else until July. So, so that being said, call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
John?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Craig?
Yes.
Cynthia?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
And Chris?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Okay.
Public safety?
And then public safety. So how are these listed on the agenda? Which one's listed first? The CF 0910. Okay. The big one. Okay, here we go. So, on page 16, you'll have a packet for the one of them that's kind of extra that you'll share once we get to it. But this one, the motion is in the back, and this is a very passionate motion that we had stakeholders show up for the public safety meeting to do this, and it was something that a lot of people really weighed in on a lot on this. And so I'm not going to read the whole letter. I don't think everybody's seen it. It's been posted. Those of you that are new can take a glance at it. But basically, they have, in writing this motion, they tried to basically take what's already given rights away to protest in our Constitution. And they're very unclear about what the buffer zones and all of that are on it in the sensitive sites, and no really idea when they get removed or when the zones are enforced or what the ramifications are. There's already misdemeanors for all of this, so why double up on things that they could enforce the misdemeanor on? So it's a constitutional right, and This would prohibit anybody from raising a sign or even doing anything in these buffer zones, sensitive site areas. So with that being said, this is at a committee. Any discussion? Chris?
Thanks. Yeah, I stand in opposition, in support of the letter and in opposition to the proposed change to the code. I find it insulting, quite honestly. It seems like anybody with a middle school civics education could identify this as a constitutional non-starter. Without going into the weeds about the motivations of wanting to do this, without specifying what gaps in the criminal code exist that this would fill, without identifying who would have the administrative authority to establish these bubble zones, and again, as Melanie mentioned, no indication as to when they would be removed, if ever. It seems like an invitation to a lawsuit, which I'm sure the city doesn't need any more of, and kind of reckless. So I would recommend that we vote to approve the letter, and in the strongest possible terms, hope that City Council votes it down as well.
Any more? Craig?
So, I have no idea where this language came from. This doesn't even seem close to violating the First Amendment. I mean, the ridiculousness of it. But on the other side, it also states that the state of Colorado, Sacramento, Chicago, and Pittsburgh have also enacted the same laws. This is big. I mean, if they were going to move against it, they would have already moved against it. But what it is, I come from a community that's been harassed by people going to our places of worship, not respecting us, blocking us from worshiping. Recently, Chabad was completely surrounded, not letting people in and out. This kind of thing needs to be not only looked at, but we need to say, no, we don't allow this. If somebody had stood in front of Mary Starr and blocked you from coming in, what would you say? You'd want protection. If somebody protected it, making up that this is a First Amendment thing is silly. To sit there and say that every synagogue in Los Angeles that I know of has security, armed security, because we've been attacked. I'm in contact with all the Jewish faith communities in this area, and we've been threatened, etc. This is a common sense answer. This is not something that is being put together that's trying to take away anybody's rights. When we have elections, you have to stand a certain amount from here to do electioneering. That's more than we have here. So that we can't protect people in their places of worship when they go to these other locations, community centers, health clinics. Maybe we have something that we should be talking about. People have rights to worship.
We need to move this along to take a vote. But there are municipal codes that need to be enforced that prohibit blocking entrances of any organization of religious or anything
You've had your one time at it. You had your one time at it.
Gwen, you got to make it short because we've got to get through all of this because we're going to have to. It's 8:33, and he's telling me that.
Melanie, I appreciate that. You're talking over the time. So it isn't that everybody knows that sensitive sites do need to be protected. The problem is with the language in this is that it does not delineate those kind of places where really there should be protections. It is too general and vague. This particular motion is so badly written that it won't do just those things that are really important to communities that are under threat. It will blow up everybody's ability. There will be some random people deciding that you can't talk the way you're going, Craig. You've got to go out. You know, you won't be able to say anything here. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff about read this particular motion. And what the letter says is that it's too vague and it's dangerous as written. It does not say that people do not agree with it and this is wholesale fraud and First Amendment right. And no, there is a problem with this particular motion. And everybody does want protection of sensitive sites, but that is not what this is a dangerous motion in regards to protection. It's actually an overreach that will prevent all freedom of speech and your ability to congregate. It has that potential based on written.
Thomas?
Yeah. I'll keep it brief. I can see some merit to the second bullet about obstructing detaining, but there are existing rules to prohibit that. The one that I can't support is prohibiting a person from knowingly approaching another person with 8 feet to have a sign, engage in protest, education, or whatever on these. That seems, clearly outside of outside of free speech, even though we have rules for electioneering. So, the spirit of trying to protect things, I was just talking to the officer about Holy Trinity looking for security. I'm very sympathetic to, we're in a very incivil society where more and more groups are just feeling they can go and bully folks. Very, very sympathetic to the obstructing we saw in universities, people not able to get to class. But I wish they wouldn't have overreached so much by saying you can't even have a sign within 100 feet without consent.
Okay, I'm going to call for the vote. So, to start it off, Thomas?
Aye.
Kane? Aye. John?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Aye.
No.
What's that? Gail?
Aye.
Craig?
Oh, sorry. I thought you said it.
Huh?
I thought you said it earlier. No.
Cynthia?
No.
April?
Aye.
Gwen?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Alonzo?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay, passes. Next one is the motion for Council File 250046. This basically is, we asked the City Administrative Officer, the assistance of the Chief Legislative, to basically instruct them to bond measure or sales tax that would help implement the funding of needed maintenance of current fire stations and capital construction of new fire stations that would bring fire department up to the standards of 50 years. And the motion is on the back of it. Any discussion? Okay, call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Victor?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Gail?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye. Sorry.
Cynthia?
This phone.
Aye.
April?
I'm sorry, I don't understand, so I guess abstain.
Huh?
Abstain, sure.
Abstain? Okay.
Where we're at.
Okay. And Gwen?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Alonzo?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Okay. The next one. Last one. So you have papers that I gave to you guys to share on the table because they didn't print enough of them, but it goes along with this motion. It's kind of like it's a funding like layout of the budget that they had. One of the critical problems with what they did when they cut the budget with the reduction and all that, one of the things that got sacrificed was the CERT program. And the CERT program basically is the program that goes and people get certified and teach how to survive an earthquake or help your neighbors like the Ryland and all that. All that got drastically defunded. And that is a pertinent objective to everybody in this community, because if we're a shelter in place, if something happens, then we need to teach every single individual, every stakeholder in this community, how they take care of themselves and their neighbors. And to defund CERT is like absurd. And so that's the reason for this letter. And so that's why we did it, because it just about the critical role that CERT plays in our community, as well as what we need. So anyway, this is out of committee, and any discussion? Chris?
Just real quickly, it seems, especially in light of what's happened with the wildfires, and especially considering our kind of geographic and service-related isolation in the harbor area, it's money well spent to have us better prepared to take care of one another in a situation where city services might not be able to get to us in a timely fashion, or maybe at all. And so, hopefully, that they could see in light of recent events that it's actually a savings.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, call for the vote. Thomas?
Aye.
Kane?
Aye.
John Barbera?
Aye.
Vic?
Aye.
Ray?
Yes.
Gail?
Yes.
And Craig?
Abstain.
Okay. Cynthia?
Yes. Yes.
Yes? Okay. April?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Gwen?
Yes.
Melanie, yes. Kelly?
Yes.
Chris?
Yes.
Alonzo?
Yes.
And Michael?
Yes.
Okay. That's that. So,
Plan and Land Use and Port Committee.
We have a stakeholder brought a topic to my attention as a past co-chair of the Port Land Use Committee. If you look online, it's a two-piece part. There's a letter just urging support for some good work that the Neighborhood Council of Wilmington did. That stakeholder is Pat Nave. What I'd have to say, if we have a second to introduce this thing, it's not out of a committee, it's a stakeholder, so I'll make the first that we look at this, is very frustrated the work that our committee had done some years ago. We got no response from the port on some big issues dealing with the Gibson Boulevard truck chassis parking lot. We still have the same concerns, so I'll now defer to Pat to hopefully keep it quick and highlight the 4 issues that Wilmington, in a multi-paged letter, has sent and had their full council support, and we're hoping for this council support as well.
I believe you have a second that you need.
Yeah, so wait for a second.
Gwen seconds bringing this forward.
Pat?
Yeah. May I inquire, how much time do I have?
Can you do it in 2?
It's harder to do in 2 than it is in 2 hours, but I'll do my best. As Tom pointed out, this is a matter you've had before you several times in the past. It concerns a truck and chassis parking lot on the west side of Don Gibson Boulevard, just north of the police station. It's a 1,794 trucks a day, 393 parking lot spaces in it, 19-foot high tall mast lighting systems that will be up on a raised level where the parking takes place, and looks like it will shine across the 110 freeway. Rather than submit a really detailed response to the draft EIR, which is the stage that it's at now, Tom and I put into a letter that we adopt those that letter, and that's in your agenda packet. Instead, I want to emphasize just three things very briefly. One is the policy. The port for a long time has had a policy of having a buffer between the industrial uses of the port and the communities. And you see that as evidenced in areas like the Wilmington Park, just north of Harry Bridges Boulevard. And you see it on the North Gaffey Street Greenbelt. That's property owned by the port, but rather than develop it for industrial uses, that's a nice buffer between the rail line and the community. This is going to be an important policy issue going forward for all of us too. For example, the Defense Fuel Supply Center, the Navy now is talking about maybe leasing it to truck and container storage. And we're going to see this now too with the repurposing of the Wilmington refinery. It's gotten so bad, particularly in Wilmington, that our council person, Tim McCosker, sponsored and got passed through the city council last June an ordinance saying, look, you can't expand or initiate truck-related uses east of Western or north of Bridges, south of Sepulveda, or west of Alameda. It's prohibited. So we put into our comment letter, hey, this project violates that ordinance. It violates the policy of the port as evidenced in the past. The other, I'm going to hold myself to the 2-minute limit. I won't even mention the other two things that were in the comment letter that are somewhat technical.
Thank you for holding yourself to those 2 minutes. We really appreciate it. Do we have, this is, okay, we have a second, we have first, a second. So are we ready for any comments or questions from anyone around the table? I see no hands. How about from the audience? I see no hands. So we can go ahead and call for the vote. Did you have the last comment?
Well, I did have one other thing. The port, the one thing that's troubled us for a long time is the port. Port had a little strip of land along the west side of Gibson Boulevard that's designated as open space in the port's master plan. They sold that to the holder of the land behind it, between the freeway and that little strip of land. They didn't do any CEQA work, didn't do any environmental work. Had they done it when they should have, they could have come up with something that said, we'll sell you an easement across that so you can use the private land behind, but you can use it for maybe housing some visiting port executives or for office space or something like that. But instead now they're proposing to, the applicant wants to have it designated for maritime uses and for this truck parking facility. That's what we're opposed to.
Thank you. Okay, we can go ahead and take the vote, please.
Okay, for the record, Craig Goldfarb left the meeting at 8:42 p.m.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Okay, on this motion, John Barbera.
Yes.
Rick Christensen, aye. Cynthia Gagne.
Yes.
Gwen Henry.
Yes.
Alonzo Jenkins.
Abstain.
April Jones.
Abstain.
Melanie LeBret.
Yes.
Kayla Miller.
Yes.
Kane Nicholas.
Yes.
Thomas Norman.
Yes.
Ray Regalado.
Yes.
Michael Signorelli.
Yes.
Chris Valle.
Yes.
And Gail Andrews.
Andrews and yes.
Okay, that's 12 ayes, 2 abstentions. Yeah, that's got to be wrong. Yeah, 12 ayes, 2 abstentions.
Okay. That takes care of our motions. So I'm going to take the input from you all. It is 8:48. We have report backs and things like that.
We can read them.
I have one installment on budget finance.
Okay, hang on. I just want to make sure that people
Let the man work.
are in agreement to either continue or we can adjourn.
I motion that.
Sorry.
I motion we adjourn. I have one important announcement before we adjourn.
Let's take the vote, and then you can make your announcement, and then we're out of here.
Okay.
We apologize for taking so much time, Michael.
For John. John's got to do all the work afterwards.
And John, too. Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, John. So anyway, go ahead. Take the vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed?
Okay.
Nay.
Okay.
Okay, and the announcement is, I want to congratulate Thomas Norman and
Adrian.
I've got a brain dead.
Adrian.
And Adrian for now being. It's going to be interesting because we both sit on the same neighborhood council, and they have just been voted in as budget advocates.
All right.
So we have 3 budget advocates here. The only problem that's going to run in is if Adrian makes it on the board, there can only be 2 budget advocates. So what he would need to do is try and get Central, even if he doesn't make it on the board, to make him a budget rep to stay a budget advocate. Is what would have to happen.
Okay. Thank you. We're adjourned until next month. Thank you all for being here. My apologies for the overtime.
Yes.